I believe that stupidity is Xavier's main character trait. Most of the entire plot happens because of his obliviousness. He has a wonderful way of making every single situation unequivocally worse, and this trait gets quite fatalistic at times. Like here, when he saves the mafia boss's life but inexplicably causes a car crash in the process. That being said, he was directly responsible for the accident by causing that guy to choke. But don't worry, Xavier manages to cause destruction by his own volition as well. A solid 30 seconds before in the exact same episode, he talks a guy into suicide, thus cementing his place as divine shitnu.
Don't jump! Huh? You have so much to live for.
Yeah, blow it out, you rump! I'm trying to work here, freak!
I know things look bleak now. No disguising, you have the whiff of stench life about you.
I do?
I know 'tis tempting to escape the misery of your daily grind.
No more pain, ever again.
Sure, jumping would be an exhilarating and glorious end. Sweet, succulent, full release all over the sidewalk.
He's right. Live with this, Regina!
Why did you suicided?
Another very important character trait for Xavier is that he learns absolutely nothing throughout his entire life. Xavier asks the computer the all-stupid question, what doth life, whose simulacratory requirements were just so vast that it caused reality to fold in on itself. Once Xavier masterfully fixes the situation using his intellect, he immediately repeats his mistake by asking the computer either the exact same question or something just as meaningful, and then he eats the world. He is without a doubt oblivious to the fact they even made a mistake in the first place. For every action Xavier takes, Frau Destiny ensures that it results in destructive results.
The master knows these material possessions are meaningless.
You're right, they mean nothing. Smash things, smashing idea. Oh, it is fun.
The master knows it is wrong to waste.
Oh, you're right, eat it off the floor. Lick up my waist.
Now I've got him eating out of the palm of my brain.
Xavier, in his honestly almighty stupidity, can only say something good if it functionally leads to a worse outcome. He is the King Midas of stupidity. Everyone he touches ends up stupider. After sending a kid to a hell world for 6 months to teach him what suffering is, this is what he's left with.
I intend to buy up all the suffering in the world and drown it in the ocean like a kitten. Daddy, how can you disgrace the sacred native interconnectedness? I want universal oneness. Can't you buy it for me, Daddy?
The way that Xavier teaches this kid is by doing the exact same thing the Chief Master Guru Triple Tautology did, which was to violently abuse him until he left. Xavier is designed to look like a walking contradiction. His design is physically, spiritually, and biologically shit. The most attention-grabbing thing about it is probably the snake hand. But the writers masterfully don't even reveal it to be a, separate consciousness until the 4th episode in the first series, so it catches you completely off guard. His single shoulder pad makes it completely useless, which adds to the idea that Xavier's physical appearance represents the utter turmoil and stupidity within. Also, it's some kind of bug. There's also, of course, his eyeball, which I'm not really able to make heads or tails of. I think it's very funny that his third eye is on his genitals instead of his forehead, but I have no idea what to think otherwise. His heterochromia also reinforces his contradictory nature. There's also, of course, the backwards legs, which, as many others have pointed out, especially Marmara's projects, I love you. No matter how forth he rambles, he is always regressing. Xavier's symbol happily mixes imagery from mathematics, Native American religion, and Chinese philosophy. It's representative of the eclecticism found in westernized spiritual circles, and it's representative of that kind of haphazard combination of religions at will. People often display a surface-level understanding of the concept they like to talk about, and then combine different, often contradictory viewpoints that turn into a freakish Frankenstein's monster rather than a well-rounded philosophy. Vernon Chatman's performance as Xavier absolutely steals the show. It's constantly strange, uncomfortable, off-putting, and completely hilarious. At some points he takes the surfer accent to just such ridiculous extents that it's even more difficult to take seriously, even though it already is so ridiculous. But it's used sparingly enough that it somehow manages to be surprising each time.
Oh no, these meager victim sickles need the heat of my release. My chance to French touch a woman.
I have no fucking clue how they wrote this series. The show is so packed to the gills that the metaphorical fish has exploded, or at least been cruelly pumped full until it's completely overstuffed. It would be normal to only notice a quarter of the jokes. Every time I rewatch it, I discover new ones. The writing overall completely carries the show, and is the one and only thing that prevents it from being utterly insufferable. There are moments where this show is so well written that it is genuinely jaw-dropping. The Firewater Casino bit contains, to my count, around 16 distinct jokes. I'm certain that I missed many, and it's less than 30 seconds long.
Saying, come on down to my spanking new Firewater Casino. Come bet on red. Our slots are looser than local squaw. And we got the Trail of Bears Poker Lounge. My tribe's genocide is your bona fide. Come see if you could wipe us out. Chief, smoke 'em if you got 'em, see?
If you can't beat 'em, whomp 'em.
And fellers, it's all built on an ancient Indian strip club. Their totem pole dances and lap rain dances will make your pole dance and your lap rain.
I've always loved It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia and Brass Eye, which are my second and first favourite comedy series respectively, for having absurdly high joke per minute ratios. However, XRA blows them out of the water. The writing, plot, and almost everything about the show are so frantic and maximalist that it beggars belief. Besides the writing though, it even manages to have a massive amount of good physical comedy, not least from Xavier's mannerisms and his characterization. The wobbly snake hand never fails to make me feel uncomfortable, and his hand gestures are so ridiculous that it feels difficult not to laugh at them.
I know a shamanic Navajo rain dance that hasn't just blown minds, it's blown ducks, tear ducks.
He's also just a complete wimp and a coward. He never confronts anyone, even when they're beating him up. XRA is also fantastic at using and abusing the medium of television. The plot is able to have a sense of internal logic that plays on a viewer's intuitive sense of media tropes, where an entire movie trilogy's worth of events can happen in just 11.5 minutes. If you weren't paying attention because you were stoned and watching this at 2 AM, you would be absolutely baffled at how this could have happened.
I'm not really a freak, you see, I am.
He's a big hot white man!
No.
He's a fat black woman!
No, honey child.
He's a woman pretending to be a man!
No.
He's a man pretending to be a woman! No. He's a man! He's a man!
No, I'm a woman.
The show is able to justify its runtime possibly better than any other show I've seen before. Any longer than 11 minutes and it would have been completely exhausting. Any shorter and it wouldn't have even been a show. The side characters are an especially good example of how the format of TV is abused.
What the human intimates you doing, freak? Bestialulating that skeeter? I'm just a simple warrior for peace, trying to do right by God's creatures. You see what this weirdo here is saying?
Wait, which weird?
I believe that we are all one. By helping this tiny mosquito, in a way, I'm helping your mother. He's comparing the universal oneness of all life to your mama. Take that! Take the pain! Take the pain!
They're usually immediately recognizable as villains or goons, but they spout off dialogue so fluently, so fast, that it honestly is incredible. I composed a version of the show's theme tune, for some reason, and I found out that the chord progression of it is basically a joke. It just goes up. I only noticed that it was just going A, B, C, D, E, F, G, B flat when I made it, so that's pretty funny. The music is always very effective in giving the illusion of a coherent story by being incredibly tropey, but it's overshadowed by the dialogue and visuals. It allows them to communicate plot points subconsciously.
Paging Dr. Paulus. We're ready for the operation.
Oh shoot, I gotta go make water.
Spray it, don't say it.
If you pay attention to it, it's so blatantly obvious that he's hiding something, but at least on my first watch I didn't even notice. One of the few living beings Xavier actually ostensibly helps is a mosquito, one of the most detested creatures in the universe. Another one he actually helps is the mafia boss. You can see a pattern here. Maybe that says something about his character, but I wouldn't know. Xavier's omnipotent stupidity does not exempt him from the disasters caused by his narcissism, bigotry, and selfishness. His envy of Robbie's discovery of making life leads him to completely destroy their family, destroy the world around him, and do absolutely nothing to help solve it. A quick side note on the pacing of the show. PFFR absolutely know how to make a short show feel as long as possible. There must be a combination of frantic and painfully slow pacing.
The lake. Can you tell me how to get to the lake?
How are you going to get there? By car?
I'm driving right now.
Okay. First, you're going to want to get in your car. Then, you're going to want to start your car. A lot of people get halfway to the lake and they realize they forgot to start their car.
What?
I'm just joshing you. That's just lake humor.
Oh, I'll find it myself.
Man, I'll never sell these arrows.
The scene manages to drag like a motherfucker even though it's only 35 seconds long. It ties back to the writer's mastery of the medium. Everyone has at least once experienced this trope in movies, and it almost feels like déjà vu. Xavier is the perfect anti-hero. When I first watched this show with a friend, he initially said that Xavier was a good man. That was no fault of his. The show never directly communicates the idea that Xavier is a bad person, whatever, and puts him in a place of power by having all of the events of the show relate back to him somehow. I think it's some form of commentary on the idea of Xavier having main character syndrome. It's more explicitly shown in episodes like World of Hurt that Xavier is an unreliable narrator, but he's so dense that he makes a black hole that the world revolves around. He's in some way an idiot god. He possesses immense power and uses them purely to serve stupid ends. In the Big Papa Dick episode, he destroys the very fabric of reality and somehow releases his childhood demon drawings into the real world, causing the apocalypse.
I've got the chumps on the run. Oh, it's the Cuddle Crumbs. The Cuddle Crumbs are here. I don't remember any of those happening.
Grandpa, Papa, are you done reminiscing yet?
And that is the legend of our Messiah.
However, the entire show intentionally being a joke allows it to make extremely unsubtle social commentary at times.
Every luxury has a deep price. Every indulgence, a cosmic cost. Each fiber of pleasure you experience causes equivalent pain somewhere else. This is the first law of hemodynamics. Joy can be neither created nor destroyed. The balance of happiness is constant. Fact. Every time you eat a bite of cake, someone gets horsewhipped. Factor. Every time two people kiss, an orphanage collapses. Factist. Every time a baby is born, an innocent animal is severely mocked for its physical appearance. Don't be a pleasure hog. Your every smile is a dagger. Happiness is murder. Vote yes on Proposition 1231. Think of some kids. Some kids.
The kid immediately repents for his sins in a way that I think would resonate with a lot of people who think that white leftists denigrating themselves is annoying.
My frolicking life of laughter has blood on its hands. Cake tastes like a whiplash on my tongue. I farted on the doorknob of justice. Wait until my daddy finds out about this. He'll help with all his wonderful monies.
XRA obviously presents this as an unproductive, or at least incomplete way of growing as a person. I have no idea how they got away with this show. It says and does some staggeringly offensive shit, and I think that anyone who feels genuinely offended at the show's depictions have the absolute right to dislike and criticize the show on those grounds. However, since the show is essentially a joke, it feels hard to believe that anyone would be genuinely offended on a personal level by it. Make no mistake, this is not the same as when people, particularly alt-right media personalities, wrap their statements in so many layers of irony that it becomes difficult to discern their genuine positions. Rather, this show is making the pure narrative decision to say the most bigoted and offensive shit possible. Racism, homophobia, transphobia, ableism, bestiality, sexual abuse, drug abuse, family trauma, mental health, pedophilia, babies being eaten. You get the picture. It's like staring into a black hole of absurd extremes. The show unapologetically breaks each and every rule of narrative structure, writing, even reality itself. In World of Hurt, a personal favourite of mine, the character of Computer is introduced, played by none other than John Flanagan of They Might Be Giants, and Xavier can straight up gain information by just asking the computer. Apparently. Though he's used extremely sporadically. It's because the show's able to use its Z-move excuse. Xavier is a total fucking moron of unknown power. It cannot be understated how nonsensical these plots are. The following is a description of an episode of a TV show that is only 11 minutes long. Xavier hallucinates because he's been in the desert for so long, so he asks Computer where to find food and drink. Computer helpfully asks him to turn left. Computer, as a character, is so excellent because it completely takes you out of the story in every way. The show is already such a barrage that it's so difficult to take it seriously, that even when you seemingly get used to its style, it completely removes itself from reality to fuck with you. Anyway, he turns left. Ray finds a diner in which a kinky butcher and a kinky smoker beat him up as per usual.
We don't cotton to strange Chinamen with no sense of self, who stand secretly by for indeterminate amounts of time.
They see on TV that they found the world's oldest cave painting, which resembles Xavier. In order to find out about the mystery of his origins, Xavier steals the TV and bravely sneaks into the cave. After Xavier asks Computer to analyze the drawing, his computer is down, but Computer confirms the painting to be 46,939 and 82 days old. So Xavier decides to go back in time by smoking so many cigarettes and eating so much bacon that his lifespan decreases back to the Stone Age. He meets a weightlifting caveman named Nimgok, who of course promptly beats him up. After hearing a woman crying, Xavier wanders into the cave where he heard it. He enters the so-called world of hurt through the woman's back. You know, the world of hurt. The physical manifestation of brute, inarticulate rage. To escape, Xavier punches her back from the inside and she screams, which alerts Nimgok. Nimgok punches Xavier out of her, and afterwards Xavier proceeds to convince Nimgok to switch violence for poetry. Xavier asks Nimgok where the painting came from, and then chalks it for an example, and then the computer reveals that he actually did it himself, and the whole plot was pointless. Nimgok immediately returns to his violent ways, and Xavier travels back by vomiting the bacon back up at the end. Wasn't that a completely substantive, meaningful, and completely understandable thing that happened? Oh wait, it didn't. It was all in Xavier's imagination. And I'm giving this one a 6 out of 10. It's a long, hard, dusty road we'll journey on through, a world you never known. Only time will tell you if or not, if your life has been in vain. Don't panic, everyone, because I'm here to settle the non-existent debate of whether he says frittata or furtada. Everyone knows that the original take is like frittata, which is ambiguous to whether it's frittata or something else. However, in the 6th Teat of Good Intention season 1 episode 4,
Frittata.
I originally made that bit because I was really sure without checking that he said it more clearly as frittata, and he did not. I'm a fucking idiot, but I think he still says frittata. I cannot stress enough how fucking confusing this show is. I'm basically a certified Xavier expert at this point, and even I have been so fucking confused trying to make this video because it was difficult to figure out what happened in each episode, because so much shit happens. I'm going in